Happy holidays, everybody. I haven't made that many videos lately. I've just kind of been busy. The holidays are always just a busy time for a lot of people, me included. But yeah, so I wanted to do I wanted to do some Christmassy related content because we are only 6 days away from that day, which is that this month has just flown by. Well, you know, sometimes it's easy to get kind of caught up in all the commercialization, the terrible ads featuring Jennifer Coolidge, the just the commercialization, all that stuff, and sometimes you get so caught up in what just you're doing at the moment that you kind of just forget that this is just a really good, nice time of the year where I don't know, people just kind of come together and it's just a good time of the year where there's a lot of support, there's a lot of just a sense of community in a lot of places. So yeah, there's my holiday spiel. Now let's get on to the topic of this video. A Christmas Carol is probably one of my favorite books of all time. It's right over there. Really hope you can see it. I can't really tell right now, but either way, it's just such a great story of redemption. It's a really cool, like supernatural story that is very open to interpretation. Where you could do the story is so good and so timeless that you could do pretty much anything with it. You could set it modern day. You could do it as a bad musical. You could set it in the future. They should do one set in the future, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today I, the film watcher, shall just be casting just a straight adaptation of the book, like with not a ton of interpretation when it comes to some of the characters, but we'll get there. Bear with me for some of these. I have some ideas. But anyway, that said, let's get started. First up, we have Ebenezer Scrooge, the protagonist and basically villain of the story. He is just, he's a curmudgeon. The thing about Scrooge is that he doesn't even, really get that angry at a lot of stuff. He gets mad at some stuff, but most of the time he's just absolutely miserable, completely indifferent to so much of the stuff happening around him, and he's just kind of annoyed by it all. So you need an actor who can play the just grumpy, annoyed, and often, yes, mad kind of Scrooge, but also, throughout the story, you slowly start to see, oh, wait a minute, maybe I should rethink that, or maybe I should do this different. Maybe I should have given something to that kid who was singing in front of my door. I don't know. So, and then once you get into the end, he's just this completely gleeful, changed man with just such a new attitude about him where it's completely jarring to anyone who didn't know what he went through, and no one did, so it was probably just jarring to everybody. And so it's quite a transition, and it's a pretty demanding role, so I didn't want to cast too old of an actor, but at the same time I didn't want to go too young. Honestly, the ages I'd accept for Scrooge are 60 to 80, maybe 85, depending on how much the actor's still doing, but I don't really want to go younger than 60 because I don't know, I just don't want to go younger than 60. So yeah, there's a lot of really good choices out there that I'm sure would knock this out of the park, but the one I went with is one that you may have seen before, and that is David Bradley. Now, David Bradley he's been around for a while. He is 80 years old. So I don't know the exact probability of him taking this role because he hasn't really stopped acting. He was just in Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. He's gonna be in a movie next year. I don't remember what it's called, but it is a movie, or it's a TV. It's something. So yeah, he hasn't really slowed down in terms of his career. He's been at this for a while, and I think he'd be great for this role. He played Filch in the Harry Potter films. That immediately makes you think, oh yeah, he can do the grumpy evil dude. He was Walder Frey in Game of Thrones, a horrendously irredeemable character, but he played him really well. So we know he can do the grumpy side of Scrooge, the angry side of Scrooge, the bitter side of Scrooge, but can he do like the remorseful stuff? Yes, because as I just mentioned, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which was a really really good movie by the way, and his voice performance as Geppetto was stellar. Like he brought his A game to this film, and like you can tell that he just gave such a committed performance where he was like processing through so many things, like with his son, his firstborn son, and I don't want to spoil the movie. Watch this movie; it's really good. It's like everything about it is infinitely better than the live action remake that came out earlier this year, but we don't talk about that one. Anyway, I think that David Bradley would be excellent here. And even if this is just all hypothetical, so yeah, I think he's a great choice for Scrooge. And side note, if I were to pick a director for this, it would probably be Guillermo del Toro because he is awesome at directing things. So, yeah. Guillermo del Toro and David Bradley, who have worked together a lot of times before, as it turns out. Either way. Next up, we got Bob Cratchit. What a nice guy. What a nice guy Bob Cratchit is. He's just got to be this sweet, sentimental, upbeat fellow who is very down on his luck, but he just has so much love in his heart that it's a little bit infectious, that you really sympathize with this guy, and he's easy to sympathize with. So you got to get someone who has this slightly bumbling nature, perhaps a little bit of the awkwardness, but still has just such a heart to him, and just has a lot of love to give. The guy has 6 children and a wife and a job that he gets paid extremely little for. So, I mean, even though the job thing isn't great and he's poor and one of his kids is sick, he's still got a lot to appreciate. Like, he has this huge family. There's just so much happiness in this family that we see in a lot of scenes in this book. Even in, like, the sadder parts, like, they still clearly love each other a whole lot. So, you need someone who can play, like, the fatherly figure, but you can also buy as a guy who would be dumped on by Scrooge. So that sounds mean, but just slightly awkward yet very kind man I'm going for here. And like I wanted to like an older actor, not like old, but I didn't want to pick like a 25-year-old in this role because he, again, 6 children. So yeah. I went with Paul Bettany, who I don't think I've ever seen him cast in this role before, but I think he'd be really good. I've really only seen him in the MCU, but it was specifically in WandaVision when he got to play a father, and his character turned out to be so good at that, and just have these just such great energy for these kids, and he played like this very supportive husband figure while also kind of trying to figure things out. And he got a lot of funny moments in that series, so you could buy him as this kind of awkward dad figure who could kind of get like bossed around by Scrooge. But he could also be like this very sweet man who you buy as a father, and just a nice, gentle, sentimental man did that rhyme? That just everybody loves. So, and I think he'd be an easy guy to sympathize with as well. So yeah, I think he'd be a great choice here. Then we have Jacob Marley. Oh boy, dead as a doornail, that guy. Jeez, he is the first ghost to visit Scrooge, and he was his old business partner. So I wanted to go like a couple years younger than David Bradley. I don't know how much exactly, because Marley's. I've always imagined Scrooge and Marley as being around the same age, and Marley's supposed to have died 7 years before the events of the book. So, yeah, I wanted to go like an actor in their early 70s, maybe mid 70s, depending, but I don't know. And just someone who has like a powerful voice, who you can buy as this ghostly figure who would be able to, affect Scrooge this deeply and be able to give him this warning. But also one who can go not super over the top, but enough that you can buy him like After just sitting there quietly and staring at Scrooge in this kind of menacing way, he just stands up and wails and shakes his chains and then flies out the window after, wailing and moaning and all that stuff. Like, he's a little bit of theatricality may be required for this role. Um, so, yeah. I gotta say, I haven't loved a whole lot of interpretations of Jacob Marley I've seen. They've either looked kind of goofy or been kind of goofy or sang bad songs. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna go with Jeremy Irons because, wow, Jeremy Irons is a phenomenal actor. Like, he is fantastic. I I don't even know if I've seen him in like his like considered best work, but like the original thing he appeared in, to me at least, was The Lion King, which is my favorite movie of all time. He voiced the villain in that film, and he was fantastic. He just had such a charm to him, this evil, delicious charm where he was clearly enjoying all of it and just like being so menacing and yeah, a little bit flamboyant in how Scar was portrayed in that film. Um, so yeah, I think he could play it straight, but he could also go a little bit over the top when necessary. Like he was like Simon Gruber in what the heck is it called? Die Hard with a Vengeance, the only other really good Die Hard movie. Yeah, he was really good in that film. And he just had like the way he acts. He has such a gravitas to him. His voice is awesome. So I think he would do really well in this role. Plus, he's like mid-70s, so I think that works. Then we have the nephew Fred. Oh, what a jolly fellow! I reread the book last week, and I didn't realize until like this reading of it, Fred isn't named until Scrooge goes to see him with the ghost of Christmas Present, and neither is Bob Cratchit, in fact. So I don't know. He's just referred to as the nephew or Scrooge's nephew, something like that, and Cratchit is like the clerk or something. So yeah, with Fred, who I don't know, he's just jolly. He's just a nice, upbeat guy who just really enjoys life. He loves Christmas as he sang a song about in the latest adaptation, the Scrooge: A Christmas Carol on Netflix. It was okay. I had some problems with it. Why does Scrooge have a dog? Anyway. Oh yeah, and Fred was named Harry in that version, whatever. So, yeah, he just has such a jolly, delightful energy about him. He's likable, he's kind, he's generous, like he's friendly to Bob Cratchit. He's friendly to Scrooge, despite Scrooge being just the absolute worst to him. So, yeah, you need someone who can be just upbeat in the face of all this just negativity being directed towards him. And I think that a good choice for this role is John Boyega, who, okay, yeah, his character in the sequels was kind of dumped on. But Force Awakens, he probably was my favorite character in that movie. I don't know, there's a lot of good characters in that movie. But anyway, he just had this really cool natural charm about him where I was like, I like this guy. Like I want to see where this guy's going to go. He goes nowhere because the writing sucks, but whatever. He had like a likable energy to him and upbeatness sort of, and just John Boyega as a person, like he just seems so like upbeat and likable about pretty much everything. So I think he would do very well in this role. Plus, I don't know if I've ever seen him in something where he's been able to show off his British accent. I might have only seen him in Star Wars, though. I don't know. Either way. Get John Boyega some more roles, yeah. Anyway, moving on, we have the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. Yeah. So, these three characters, I wanted to cast everybody else, like, as they're portrayed in the book, like pretty much exactly. But with these, I feel there is still a little bit of room for interpretation, especially if you're getting someone like Guillermo del Toro. Like these other guys, they're just like regular humans. I know Jacob Marley's covered in chains and whatever, and you can make him blue, but I mean, basically he's just a dude. So these are like actual supernatural entities. Like you can do a lot of stuff with them. And the Ghost of Christmas Past. One thing that I've noticed in a couple of the versions I've seen, this particular spirit is not really portrayed as like one consistent gender, because in many versions I've seen it's been a woman, and I don't know, that's kind of always how I've seen the character, maybe just because of how many versions I've seen where it is a woman. But I don't know, in some of the versions I've seen where it's a guy, it's just looked weird to me. I'm pretty sure in the Patrick Stewart version it was a dude, and I don't know. It just didn't look right. I don't know what it was. It just didn't. Honestly, the only male version of this character that I've seen and liked was Jiminy Cricket in Mickey's Christmas Carol. But honestly, let's be real. That was just Jiminy Cricket. Really. Like, aside from quoting the book, there wasn't a whole lot that was specifically derived from the original Ghost of Christmas Past, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be a guy, but I don't know. And I had a thought, because there's been a lot of, I don't want to say fluidity, but because people have been kind of flexible in terms of interpretation on this character's gender, I figured why not cast a non-binary actor? That was my thought. So, because I don't follow that many actors' personal lives, and this is kind of a personal matter, I wasn't aware of that many, but I did come across one that I think would really, really work, and that is Emma Darcy. Now, they played Rhaenyra Targaryen, the adult version, in House of the Dragon, and I mean, there's a lot of really good performances in that show, but they stood out as being very intense, but not without, like, the gentler moments where Rhaenyra was, like, she was being a mother, she was helping her kids, and I don't know, there was stuff like that, and then there was stuff where she was, like, dealing with Alicent and all the crap in King's Landing, but anyway, I think Emma Darcy pulled it all off, and I thought they were excellent in the role. So, in terms of fitting this character, I think they have, like, their voice in that show, yeah, I think it fits really well. So, yeah, I think Emma Darcy would be great as the Ghost of Christmas Past. I could see them kind of guiding Scrooge and maybe doing a little bit of, like, taunting, because, I don't know, the Ghost of Christmas Past is not really that nice to Scrooge, but, I mean, he doesn't really deserve that, but whatever. I think Emma Darcy would be great in this role. Then we have the Ghost of Christmas Present, which, I had some thoughts here. So, in terms of, like, straight just casting it as the book, you could just pick someone easy, like, I don't know, Christopher Hivju from Game of Thrones, and he'd be awesome. I'm not denying that, but I wanted to do something a little bit different, and so the Ghost of Christmas Present is probably the most likable of the spirits. He's the one that Scrooge gets along with, and he's usually portrayed as about the same in most adaptations, unless it was Carol Kane, but either way, he's just this jolly, kind fellow who basically just radiates positivity, but as you get to, like, the end of his appearance, he gets some really intense moments where he's just, like, he's throwing Scrooge's words back at him, and it's great writing. My goodness, this book is awesome. But anyway, so I thought about this. I'm going to go with Andre de Shields, who, if you're unfamiliar, he played Hermes in the original Broadway run of Hadestown, and from what I've seen, he's awesome. He's just such a great, energetic performer, despite being, like, 76, so he is still going strong in terms of, like, acting, and performing. He was a choreographer when as a younger man. So he's danced. I believe he's won a Tony. So he's a very very talented person, and he has just. I watched his speech that he gave when his Tony acceptance speech when he won for Hermes, and he just has such like a profound wisdom to him in the way that he talks that I think would translate extremely well to a character and even like a story like this. And he just seems like he's been through so much, and he has like he's in just his personal life. He has AIDS. He's had it for a few decades now, as far as I'm aware. He lost his partner to it, I believe, in the 90s. So the guy has been through a whole lot in his life, and I think I don't know how much of that like translates to his like his outlook currently. I obviously don't know him personally, but he just seems to have such like a rhythm to the way he speaks, and I think like the wisdom of him would work really well in this role. So yeah, I think I don't know. He looks nothing like the character is originally imagined, because the Ghost of Christmas Present in the book is like this huge giant of a man with this thick red beard and a big jolly face. And Andre de Shields is a short, skinny old man. So I don't I it's not like it's not clearly not like a 1-to-1 comparison, but honestly, I think it would work really well. That's just my opinion. Then we have the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. Now, this is kind of a tough character to do, because on the one hand, you could just get some really really tall dude and put him in a cloak. I don't want to do that because I think it looks dumb. I'm sorry, I just think it looks stupid. That like I've seen some I don't it's tough to say what I think about some of the interpretations I've seen, because there's a few, like the ones where it's just like at this huge massive cloak staring down at Scrooge, where it looks cool and pointing ominously, like the Muppet Christmas Carol. I really like that version, but then there's others like the Patrick Stewart version where he looks like a Jawa, and it's hilarious, and he has human hands. I can't take this guy seriously if he has regular human hands. What's the deal? But either way, so maybe a little bit of like maybe motion capture here, maybe some prosthetics. And who was the guy I mentioned earlier? Was it Guillermo del Toro? Doug Jones. Doug Jones should play the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. Come on. Like, he'd be great. I haven't seen him in a whole lot. He was Billy the Butcher in Hocus Pocus. He's done a lot of like mocap prosthetic roles, Pan's Labyrinth, Shape of Water, which incidentally were Guillermo del Toro things, Hellboy. So yeah, I'm not going to question this. I really like this casting. I think he'd do very well here. Then we have some smaller characters like Emily Cratchit, who I also don't think is named in the book. I honestly don't remember. I just read the book. Whatever. So Mrs. Cratchit, whatever you want to call her. So she's just kind of this... She has to be this very sweet maternal person, akin to Bob, but she also has a bit of a firmness, a fierceness to her, where she's like... When you first see her, she's just like this sweet mom character. You know, she's making pudding, and it looks like a cannonball or something. I don't know. And then when the second he mentions Scrooge, she's just like, no way, I'm not drinking to that guy's hell. Screw him. So I'm thinking for this role, I think that Hayley Atwell would do a really good job. She has like an intensity to her. She's played like these fierce, powerful roles before. Peggy Carter. You know what? Do I even need to say anything else about any of her other performances? She was good in Christopher Robin. But seriously, Peggy Carter. She's like... She has her moments of sweetness and kindness where she's talking to Steve, but she's also like kind of a badass. I think she'd work really well here. I think her something about her voice is just seems perfect for a role like this. And then we have some smaller characters that don't have a ton of relevance to the story, but some of them actually do. And just decide I'm not going to cast any of the Cratchits because they're minor enough roles that you could get like unknown actors. And I mean, Tiny Tim is a pretty big, important character, but he's also like 7, and I don't really know of any 7-year-olds, so... And I don't want to cast like a teenager as Tiny Tim. That feels weird to me. I don't know. So there's a couple characters from Scrooge's past that I think are kind of important. Fezziwig. Fezziwig. What a man. So he's just a charming, nice guy who's basically the exact opposite of Scrooge in terms of his employment strategies. He's kind to his employees. Scrooge was employed with him. I'm not going to cast young Scrooge either, because I don't know. Anyway, so Fezziwig just needs to have this jolly, upbeat energy, and I think the perfect person to play him is Jim Broadbent. Yeah, he's fantastic. He was in the Harry Potter movies. He was in the Narnia movies. I only saw one of them, but he was good. And he played like... He's played Santa Claus before in, like, Arthur Christmas, and a movie that I just saw. It's really good. So, yeah, Fezziwig, I think, would work really well for this actor. And then one more character that I want to get to is Belle, Scrooge's fiance from his youth, who he did not treat right. So they sort of fall in love at some point. They either meet during Fezziwig's party or they've already met. I don't know. The different versions do it differently, and eventually they fall in love. They're engaged, and Scrooge is just so absorbed in his work, and she's just like, yeah, no, I don't really like you anymore because he's just so wrapped up in his work. Actually, the one part of the Scrooge: A Christmas Carol film on Netflix from this year was the scene where she dumped him. It was a musical number, and it was really good. Stellar use of animation. So yeah, it was like one of the few genuinely fantastic moments of that movie. But yeah, anyway, I think for Belle, dipping into the House of the Dragon bucket once again, Millie Alcock, who played younger Rhaenyra Targaryen in House of the Dragon, and they're not really similar roles, really, but she had enough moments of, like, sweetness without all, like, the misdeeds, where I feel like she'd do very well in this role. She'd do really well delivering the intense dialogue towards Scrooge, where she's, like, I cannot remember what she actually says right now. Why? I don't know, she's talking about his changed manner and how, like, there's no way you would seek me out now because you weigh everything by gain, all that sort of thing. I just remembered. Anyway, so, yeah, I think she'd work really well as this character. And, yeah, that's about it. Millie Alcock would be great. And then, I'll just throw in some dude from the future. Old Joe is a greasy old man who buys Scrooge's stuff when he's dead. There's no real point in casting him, but I just felt like it. Brad Dourif should play Old Joe. Brad Dourif was Grima Wormtongue. What a name that is, in the Lord of the Rings movies. He was really good. He was absolutely sickening, but I enjoyed him a good deal. Not the best written character, but I think he brought a lot of just sickening charm to it that I think he'd work really well as Old Joe. Plus, Old Joe is supposed to be, like, they specify that he's nearing 70. Brad Dourif is over 70, so he's, like, of all the characters to specify the age of, this is the guy. He's in, like, one scene. I don't know. So, yeah. There we go. There is A Christmas Carol fan casted, from Ebenezer Scrooge to the one guy whose age is revealed in the story. Anyway, yeah, comment your own thoughts on who y'all think should play these characters in a possible adaptation, maybe by Guillermo del Toro. Anyway, yeah, happy holidays. Thank you for watching, and keep calm and watch on.